If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths and sometimes heights to ensure the power is always flowing, which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Creator to Creators Today. Today, we have a special guest,
Laura Gardner.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that you're here. We've been trying to get you. We've been trying to just do something, create something together, and it's just passing. But I'm glad I
Before
got
the
you.
pandemic, it's like 4 or 5 years minimum. Yeah,
Wow, was it really that long?
well, it was before pandemic because it was at Merrick and Peggy McCarther's open house before when we didn't have the pandemic, so we were at a party there, and that's when we met. It may have been July 4th or Memorial Day or something like that.
Wow,
A long time ago.
long time ago. So I looked at your bio. You have and I looked at your reels and your work. You have a real, your resume is quite long. Tell me from the beginning. I always wonder, you're from New York, Queens. What was that like growing up in New York, or just what was your childhood like?
I grew up in an apartment building, and there were 3 girls. And so we had the girls had the small bedroom, and the parents had the big bedroom until we started getting bigger. And then the girls had the big bedroom, and the parents had the small bedroom. And it was, there was something really wonderful at the time about the fact that kids got to go out on the street, and we played hide and go seek. It was safe,
Nice.
as far as we knew, to actually have a life which was playing outside. And we had the ice cream trucks coming by, and we were on the second floor, and we would call upstairs and go, "Ma," and she would throw nickels and quarters down, and we would go to the Good Humor truck. And so there was a certain kind of normalcy and a sense of life that I don't think kids have now. And for me, I knew I wanted to do something I was a singer right away. I just wanted to sing, and when my grandmothers had a piano, and I was sounding things out on the piano at her house, and whenever we went there, that's what I was doing. And I also say that I was a fat kid, and I was stealing food all the time. So that's where my acting career began, because I started to say, I don't know what happened. I didn't do it. And but we started going away to summer camp when we were a little bit, well, actually we went to day camp, and that's when for some reason I got the bug, and I started doing a lot of singing and acting in summer camp, probably when I was in day camp 6 or 7. And when I was in second grade, I remember I was in charge of, it's so funny how much we remember, of reading this book. Maybe it was a Dr. Seuss book, and I cast everybody, so I was directing everybody, and I told everybody what to do. And then I went to a temple on Wednesdays. They let the kids who were Jewish leave school. This is third grade. They let us leave Wednesday afternoons early to go to this, for the kids who didn't go to the big Jewish centers. We went to this small place across the street from school, and I loved the stories and I loved the singing, and so we would go over there, and and the pound cake, and so I would go to Temple to hear the stories and to act and sing. And I remember in fifth grade, they changed West Side Story, so I for some reason sang "I Have a Love" while the ballerina danced to it, and I was wearing my I have a twin. On top of all this, I have a twin. And she's fraternal, so we're fraternal. So she was probably at the time. I mean, she's under 5 foot, and I'm 5 foot 7.5.
Oh,
And
wow.
so we both were wearing these green. We had these green our birthday's on St. Patrick's Day,
Oh,
so
wow,
we
nice.
both had these green dresses and these French. I don't know if you ever saw these French flats, the French heels. There's these little
Mm.
sharp heels. And right after I sang, right before I had to sing "I Have a Love," is they said, "Hey, the cops!" And I had to go running. We all went running in those French heels. I slid on the Jewish Center floor,
Oh my
and
God.
I fell, and then I had to sing "I Have a Love," even though I was crying because I
Oh
was
no.
humiliated. But what happened is that the rabbi wanted me to be in the chorus and to join the temple and to be in their choir, and they would have given me a scholarship to
Wow.
go to Hebrew school, but we moved. And so we moved to New Jersey, and my father was working out there. And I started getting involved, and also I was playing the piano by that time, and I had someone who wanted to get me to be a concert pianist. So there was always this a lot of different hats that I was wearing because I loved the piano, but I was a singer and I also wanted to act. And what I did is, so going back to your question was growing up in New York, it was very crowded. And so at the age of 12, suddenly we went from living in the city to suddenly we're in the suburbs of New Jersey
Hmm.
with a house, and we each had our own bedrooms, and we had a dog, and we had friends that were different. And I started going away to summer stock when I was we got a scholarship actually. Another girl and myself, when we were freshmen in high school, we got a scholarship from the high school to go away to Montclair State College summer theater.
Wow.
And so I was really driven.
Yeah.
I was in choruses, and there was always a choice for me. Was I going to go for singing, or was I going for acting? And for
Mm.
me, if there's anybody who's listening to this, I felt that my singing was a gift and my acting was what I really had to work hard on. And
Mm.
so, on many levels, I would say that I took my singing for granted because I was in, and that's my dog barking in the background. So I was singing and I took some lessons, but I never really took it seriously. And so what I did, because I had a lot of issues vocally, because
Mm.
I did a lot of singing, and it led me to big jobs, including Broadway, but I did a lot
Wow.
of damage to my vocal cords along the way
Mm.
because of not paying enough attention to what I was doing. And I would say to anybody who's young and training, that the importance of really paying attention and not taking anything for granted.
Mm.
That would be a big warning as an old woman, an old sage, that the importance of really attending to your what training means.
Interesting. Uh, so Broadway, and you get into so apparently you must had some support. Family was very supportive of your
No,
journey. No,
my family did not want me to be an actor.
really?
No, not at all. And
I'm so
my mother wanted me to be a speech therapist because she was a gym teacher. I think she
okay.
had fantasies of being an actor herself, but she never did it. And she had a lot of vocal problems because she was a gym teacher. She was screaming and yelling, and she was a screamer. But she really wanted me to be a a speech therapist. I could help her, and so she didn't feel that. She basically felt that you really shouldn't have a life that you enjoy the work you do, and so the success I had was when I was working, she was very happy for me. But she would come and see me and things and go, well, yeah, but they're so what? Or, yes, everybody is. Remember, I was doing a play. I did a lot of regional theater and a lot of tours. And she said, yeah, so, but what's the next job? And yeah, so, but what are you going to do after this job? And yeah, but how are you going to sustain a living?
Wow, did that take a toll on you at all?
Yeah, yeah, it did. But I was really, I was really so focused on the passion of my work, and because I was a teacher as well, and I really started teaching when I was 16.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I say that I was such a controlling person that I was a teacher. I was a born teacher anyway, telling people it's. But I really seriously started. I started working as a camp counselor and teaching, singing, even though I damaged me. But basic singing and basic acting when I was at camp, starting at 16. And when I wasn't doing summer stock, I was at camp teaching. And so, and I was very lucky to go to, I had gone to Boston University for their acting program for 2 years. And I transferred to Rutgers. And the guy who was running the acting program there said, I don't have enough to teach you. And he sent me to HB Studio,
Wow.
Herbert Berghof Studios, where I met my mentor, Carol Rosenfeld, who is still one of my best friends and mentors.
That's awesome.
And I started working with her, and she came to Rutgers. And I did the first year and a half of the graduate program. And she basically taught me not just about acting, but how to teach, to really
Mm.
be a better teacher. And so I started teaching and acting. And that is something, I mean, really teaching. And so that has, my mother couldn't complain as much because basically I, although there were times in New York, I worked as a waitress and I found some places where I was a singing waitress, which was a riot. And I worked at some restaurants where one restaurant was run by the Jewish mafia. And a great story. I was serving. I was such a nervous wreck, and I went out and I dumped a crudité tray onto the lap of this mafia guy. And I went. This was after I'd sung. My big song was "Day by Day." Day by day. And I went running into the kitchen and I burst into tears. And the boss, thank God, didn't kill me. He just went, okay. But it was a great job. So I was one of those lucky people that there were enough people back in it was the mid 70s, mid to late 70s,
Mm.
that I would work in a restaurant with other actors.
Right.
And then we would go out of town and then we come back. Griffin Dunn was one of them.
Wow.
Um, it was when Annie was on Broadway, and a lot of they had a piano bar there too at Beefsteak Charlie's. That's one of the places I worked, and so
Nice.
we would work in the restaurant and then go to the piano bar and sing, and then we would work. So there were a lot of actors. I got some jobs through working there because I loved meeting people. So I was
Yeah.
one of those people, as I think you and I both share this. We like talking to people. We like meeting
Yeah.
people. So I met people, I talked to them. There were some people I met, so I ended up going away to Tarkio, Missouri to do 3 musicals when I was 27.
Wow.
So I just kept, no matter what I did, I was always looking for what's the next thing I can do.
I
I
love
was
that.
marketing myself as a teacher because I love to teach. And then after I had throat surgery, before I went to Broadway, I had throat surgery because I had gone away and I kept getting cast over and over and over again, some for musicals, some for straight plays, but I had some serious damage on my vocal cords.
I
And
mean, that's a lot of, you know, doing stage or Broadway. I think that's a lot because it's like you're doing it constantly every other, like however long you're doing it for. I'm sure that's so intense.
well, what happened is that I was doing I went away to do trying to think of what shows led up to it. I'd gone away to summer stock and I was doing 3 or 4 shows. And I was in the middle of Actually, it started when I was doing Annie Get Your Gun. And it was in the middle of Tarkio, Missouri, and I was singing very hard, Annie Get Your Gun, in the middle
Mm-hmm.
of cornfields. And I felt I had to sing every time in rehearsal. I didn't gauge myself.
Mm.
And after that, I came back, and I think I just kept working on and off. And I had some directors who didn't know how to help actors take care of themselves, and so they demanded that the singers keep singing over and over and over again rather than take care of the actors.
Right.
And I wasn't smart enough then to say, this time through, I'm just going to pace myself.
Right.
And because I thought I was a superwoman. And then when I went away to summer stock and no, to a theater in Abingdon, Virginia, and I was having allergy problems, and I did 3 shows, and then a show that I had auditioned for, Hannigan and Annie. I got cast in Minneapolis, so I went straight from this theater in Abingdon, Virginia, to do Hannigan, which is a screaming role. And on the top of that, I had to leave early because I was really hurting my voice. I had to leave that show early, and I was going to go on the road to do Doonesbury.
Wow.
And so I went to the singing teacher who really helped me, but we were out on the road with Doonesbury, and it was just really hard on my voice. So we ended up, I was in LA, and it was there was a lot of tension because the show, there was a press strike, and I was on stage, on a rake stage, and I thought the guy who was the bad guy he had a golf club. I thought he had hit my calf. What had happened is that my gastrocnemius had burst on stage.
Oh, wow.
And it was closing weekend. So I was walking on my toe because on my toes, because when you burst your gastrocnemius, you can't flatten your foot.
Right.
So the next day, it was the closing performances. I couldn't walk. I got up and I fell to the floor. And my twin had come out. She was living in LA and Santa Barbara at the time. She had come out to see the show, and I went to the hospital. My understudy went on for closing weekend. It was the closing weekend. So I went back to New York, and I had to take care of, I was in physical therapy for my leg, and that's when I found out I had a polyp and a node, and I had throat surgery. So about 6 months later, I started coming back and was working with the singing teacher. And about 2 years later, I was on Broadway with this show called Smile. And I had done, about beauty pageants, I'd done a major audition for them singing. It was Marvin Hamlish, it was his last show, and Howard Ashman, his last show. And I did a major singing audition and ended up the role that I did. They didn't sing at all.
Gee.
I was really pissed. And when that show was over, I decided I was going to come to LA for oh, is that true? That actually isn't true. I lied. It's so many years ago. It's 30 years ago. I actually did, I was very good at covering other actors, at understudying. I have a great, I had the time, I had a great memory. So I started, I had some wonderful directors who loved me, and I ended up auditioning and for other people's money off Broadway, and I was covering the young woman, Mercedes Rule, and the older woman, the mother, because I could go either way, young or older.
Right.
And I did that for over a year. And then I understudied Holland Taylor, who is older woman who's on, right now she's on the Chair, and she was in How I Met Your Mother, and on zillions of shows, wonderful actress. I covered her for a year. And then when I was almost done with that, I knew I had to break up with this guy in New York, and I couldn't do it. So I went to Cleveland Playhouse to do a show, and when 2 shows, and when that was over, that's when I decided to go to LA, because I didn't know what to do with this. And so in the middle of that was Broadway was somewhere after the surgery.
Yeah.
And this is so long ago, folks. That's why my memory is sort of bad.
No, you're doing great. You're doing fantastic.
I came out to LA because I felt I shouldn't go back to New York, because relationships, when you get old, become very important. And so I came out to LA, and it was at that point people said, you should stay out here. And it wasn't necessarily the best time to come.
Yeah.
But they were doing other people's money out here, and I was offered to cover here, and I did. And I went on almost immediately and found an agent.
Wow.
I started working out here and teaching out here. And so
Do you think that it's because you've started working immediately, you have this amazing resume that you were doing in New York, that you just kind of come to LA, where a lot of people struggle and you just like, bam, you're like hit the ground
Well,
running?
I would say that coming as an actor from the stage mostly,
Hmm.
that knowing what I know now, I had I had a grandiosity coming from doing leading roles.
Hmm.
And at 40, that's how old I was when I came out here. I didn't know enough about making the transition from stage to film and TV.
Right.
And if I had been younger, it would have been slightly different because the sitcoms were much bigger, the characters were much bigger, and there were a lot of established actors my age
Hmm.
that had already been working. And when they are looking for people at the beginning, they're looking for young people they can hone.
Mm.
There was really not a need for someone my age. And also, I had some very good agents, and I had an attitude which was, I want to do theater more, or I'm not going to, I'd rather do this play instead of auditioning for this TV thing,
Mm.
or I would say to casting people, this part is so small, can you save me for a bigger part? And I didn't realize the way the game is played out
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And that is something that, in retrospect, I worked a bit, and I mean, I thought about it the other day because I'm trying to get back into doing big musicals again because I had
Nice.
stopped that for a while. But I started teaching more out here. And then so I was working as an actor sometimes, but not all the time, and I started my own classes out here.
Nice.
But the acting was slower, and with life and my dad's health, I started to focus more on teaching, less on acting. And it
Right.
took its toll
Mm.
on my acting. And I'd say the first 5 or 6 years, I still did a great deal of acting, mostly stage with periodic, some good credits for TV and film, but mostly stage. And then I made a decision when I met my husband, it was just about the time I had made a decision before I met, about 6, 7 months before I met him, I think. I made a decision to stop acting because my dad was very sick.
Gotcha.
And I needed to have the stability of just being in one place, that I could go back and forth to see him.
Hmm.
And then after he passed, I sort of went, whoops, there's part of my life that's not happening.
Yeah.
And then I slowly but surely started working as an actor again. And then I would say, um,
How long has it been at this point?
how long had it been then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably my father's gone about 10 years now. But I would say that I was at the Howard Fine Acting Studio for 19 years.
Okay.
And while I was with Howard, the first probably, I mean, I was going in and out of town a bit, but basically, at the time, Howard and I did not have a cover for me to do acting,
Right.
which was an issue.
Yeah.
And so and I was married and had 3 stepkids. So there were certain choices, life choices that I made that in the last 5 years, I started to shift that. So I got a show at the Pasadena Playhouse,
Right.
and I went out of town for a few weeks to do a show called Outcast. And I started getting a sub. Howard started to shift. And then I started to make some choices when Howard and I parted ways about 2 or so years ago. Things started to really move
That's great.
for me as an actor. And then certainly during the last 3 years, I've been working much more as an actor, still teaching
That's
a
wow.
lot. But my acting career has, in my old age, I realized that, Uta Hagen was one of my teachers as well as Carol. And she had said to Lindsay Krause that you have a responsibility as an actor. I feel I have a responsibility as an actor to tell a story. And
Mm.
I really feel that what I have to tell and the way in which I tell it, that it's not about the ego that I'm an actress. It's that I have a voice and a history and a passion and an emotional life and a empathy that I feel, and certainly a history that I think I have something to share as an actor and as a teacher. And I can't just do one. It doesn't
Right.
feel right.
Right. Literally was my next question was like, you said you have, a responsibility, as an actor and, teacher. Do you ever go into Like, I mean, I don't know about now, like maybe now, certain roles or things like, jobs, like, okay, this is important to me because, or I want to tell something different now because, the world we're living in now, it's different, it's changing. So I feel like, I don't know, do
There are
actors have a
sometimes,
responsibility?
well, there are sometimes roles that I think that I'm right to tell the story, but the industry doesn't think I'm right to tell the story. So,
Do you
uh,
make it yourself? Do you go and just
you're a writer, so that would be a smart thing for me to do, wouldn't it? But I get some scripts. I got a hold of a script that I go to a playwrights conference every summer in Alaska, and if there are any playwrights out there, or any actors, because it's an opportunity for actors to act. And if you have any plays for you, Miosha, or any playwrights out there, this is called the Valdez Theater Conference, and it's going to be Frank and my 16th year, and we
wow.
go out there every year for a week. And there was a play called The Beautiful Dark by Eric Gernand, and it was about a mother of a shooter, a school shooter. And this play I had such a passion for, and I read it at one of my theater companies, and I thought it was really an important play, and they sort of dismissed it.
Wow.
And we did a second reading of it, and it was miscast, and I didn't think it was directed as well. And I fought for that play, and I just couldn't get traction on it, and which made me very, very sad. But I don't have, at the time, I didn't have the time or money, and I frankly am not going to do it for another actor.
Hmm.
It was done in New York, but I don't feel that right now as an actor, I feel it's really important for me to do something for me. There's so many things I want to do and get heard, but I think it's not fair for me not to do it if it's not a vehicle for
Gotcha.
me. And it's not just, if you had a story that you thought was really incredible and I was on board with it, I'd still probably say, I don't want to be a producer. I've done that so much. I've supported, I helped a playwright get something done at one of my theater companies. I fought for that show. There was a part that it wasn't something I was dying to do, but I fought for it.
Yeah.
And I did it, and it wasn't something that I was hungry or dying to do, but
Gotcha.
I did, and I got myself pushed into it, and my mother was dying at the time, and it was just, if I'm not fully immersed and really, I have to really follow my heart to do something.
I love that.
So if somebody came to me and said, this is a project, and I think this is really right for you, and I thought that it was really right for me, and I was dying to do it, I would do everything in my power to get it done and to do it.
I love that. No, that's great. I couldn't, I only, because you said you did casting as well. So I mean, there's
I
so
do.
many, it's like you do so much. It's like, wow, I'm like amazed.
I
But
love to cast, and I just helped a friend of an old student of mine cast something, and I got our mutual friend Merrick. I pulled him in. I'm
yeah, I
not
love
happy
Mary.
about it, but I love to cast because I love to bring, and I actually cast myself in a role that was supposed to be a man. And
Wow.
I am really tired of middle-aged women not getting cast, and the two leads were African American women. So I said, let's make the detective a white woman, a
Yeah.
white middle-aged, because I'm not quite so middle-aged as I'm a senior, and we're one of those people that are not, that we're just sort of looked over, really, right now. White, middle-aged, really, we're nothing.
Wow.
So I put myself in that role, and I'm glad I did.
Right. So like that's wonderful when you can, control the narrative, when you can create something and bring some people together. I think that's really important part of creating on top of, doing, industry things, but being able to control your narrative and we don't really see certain things like that. Like you said, it's not something that's popular. And I don't know why. Um, but do you think the industry is kind of changing when it comes to voices being heard in this
Well,
business?
I
Like,
think you certainly, you have I think I really admire you, and I think there's so much you're doing. And when I look on the
thank you.
Instagram and I see your whole style and your influencer and gorgeous and
Thank
what you've
you.
done since I've met you and the horror. See, I'd much rather do a horror film than see a horror film. I can't see horror films; they upset me too much. But I will do a horror film. And so, yes, I think there's the option of being. Frank and I have been involved with a bunch of short films,
Mhm.
and there's actually we've shot a short film we've done the second of the series, and we're now going to have to do it a third time because it's not happening right. But I think that with it's very possible on a very low budget to do pretty much anything right now.
Yeah.
And if someone, if I really had a story that just spoke to me and I died to do, I just said, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Then I would do it. And in fact, this morning I was thinking about, it seems silly, but I was thinking about how satisfying it is for me to empty a dishwasher. And I thought about, because one of the storylines that Frank and I, this short film that we've been trying to do, a friend of mine wrote, and it's about a couple and they're arguing over the dishwasher, which is something very universal. But I thought about what satisfies me in my life right now. Emptying the dishwasher. There's something, and I thought, what is if I started to write every day one little thing that I feel complete satisfaction about? Because you think about a stand-up starting to write. You think about someone, who's quoted all the time. Where does it begin? It begins with these little things of, what is it that satisfies me? Petting my dog on her when she's on her back. When she looks at me and there's just that connection, that there's nothing there but that pure love. In terms of acting, it's that moment, yesterday I did a singing audition again, because I've been dying. If there's anybody who's doing a musical, it's where I started. I'm back to singing again, and it's where I want to express that part of me again, and the voice is really back. And so for me to be able to express myself through that purity of sound, that it's up to me to be expressing that daily.
Yeah.
Not like once every 6 months I start to sing.
I love that. No, that's beautiful. Oh, that's great. I have so many questions, but I'm trying to keep them condensed. So I'm curious, is there anything that, well, you like both, but what do you feel more alive doing? Like singing, acting, or casting, or all of it? Can you live without one?
I don't feel the most alive in casting. It's fun for casting, and certainly I love to give the gift of casting. I love to say, hey, I've got this role. Do you want to do it? It's really great. Yeah. That's wonderful as an actor to just say, hey, that's hysterical to me. I think that's fabulous. So that's fun. As a coach, I love to see people open up and trust. That's extraordinary to me, to see people really grow and to have them open in a way they never thought they could. That's extraordinary to me. And for them to trust themselves and me, mostly trust themselves, because I didn't trust myself as an actor for many years. And there's something about working on Zoom that really, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. It really is film. You see what's here. And as an actor on film versus stage, I love being on the stage, but I'm not on the stage very much. I'll be on stage again in Alaska, but I did, I'm trying to remember, even the singing audition I did yesterday, we did it, the camera's still over here. And there's something, once again, even for me, because watching my auditions, the truth is the truth.
Right.
And so if I'm doing an audition for film, TV, or for stage, when I am connected and when the ego is put away and I go after what I want and I'm really there with the other person, then I love to fly. And there's a TV show that happens to be really my favorite show in the world, which is called Resident Alien.
I've heard it.
And everyone in the world should watch this show, because Alan Tudyk, he is, he plays an alien, and he is
brilliant,
so free and so goofy, and there's not a moment that he's ridiculous. There's such a freedom in his work, and if I could emulate that, but it's ridiculous how free he is. He's so joyful and terrified. And I want that. I want to be that. And I know that there's an expectation of, I'm this pretty middle-aged senior blonde that is not a dime a dozen, but certainly just who I am. And I just want the expansion of consciousness that there's more than Jean Smart, Susan Sullivan, and there's 5 women. That that there's room for all of us.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I feel like there is room for everyone, women too. I think we have this narrative of like, well, I'm the woman now. And it's like, no, I'm a part of women in film. I love that. I love that women are, that we should work together and continue to lift each other up versus put each other down. I don't know. I think that we want change, but then it's like when we get these positions, a lot of people don't even create that role, like those
They
those
want to stay.
opportunities.
I don't want it. It's not about bitterness. It's that a lot of people are, and look, I love Jean Smart. I love her. I love it. But I think that there are gazillions of shows out there and opportunities out there, and I think um, there's room for lots, and that's why, again, as you said, is there a story I want to tell? It's really about all of us, not to sit around, and I take every audition as an opportunity to really grow and play.
Absolutely.
And it's a job that I have at the moment. I'm doing it, and I believe that the powers that be, that the next job will be. I did a great episode of Law and Order SVU. It was fantastic, and there'll be another job like that for me when I don't expect it. That's how it
That,
works.
that's it. That's it. Do you have any I only have two more questions, I promise.
Okay. Hey,
Um,
you're,
were there any some stumbling blocks along the way, like any uncertainties of like, all right, because no one has the blueprint to this industry. It's just,
you mean, should I not do this? Should I do something else? Should I get it? Did I seriously think about leaving the business?
yeah.
Yes. Um, there's always the biggest one, I think. Let me think way back when. I think the biggest one was I was in my late 40s, and I had been, it's always about relationships. So watch what you do, guys, about relationships. Because I had been involved with somebody who was deaf. And I've always been really interested in working with the disability community.
Mm.
And I've worked with deaf actors, with people in chairs, with just all. And I mean, I love working with anybody. But there was something about the breakup with this particular guy that just really, it was really hard, because I was devastated at the time, and things were happening. I don't know what, it was just too much. And I know that I had a falling out with my agent because I did not want to do a TV show, because I wanted to do whatever it was. I was arguing because I was making the relationship more important than the work,
I
which
see.
wasn't smart anyway. But when the relationship broke up and he got involved with somebody who was deaf, which makes total sense now, that I decided that I should go back to graduate school.
Mm.
I think that happened once before, I chickened out. So this was when I think I was about 47. And so I started applying to graduate schools. And what I thought I would do is I would become a therapist for the deaf. I thought, because I always had this thing at the time that I was going to save everybody, which is called Al-Anon issues. So I applied to a bunch of schools, and I ended up going to San Diego State, and it would have been to get I got money to go to school, and it would have been to get a degree in MSW, I think, in social work, I think it was, physical, whatever it was. I would have been working with disabled as a counselor. And it wasn't exactly what I wanted, because I really would have gone to San Francisco to go into a program that would have been to be a therapist. But I was taking that, and I was driving back and forth from LA. and I was turning down auditions, or then I was trying to do auditions, and I was also teaching. And then I did that for 6 months, and I was in a relationship I should not have been in. And I did it for 6 months, and then there was a turning point that I either had to move to San Diego, or I had to stop school. And they always felt at the school, when they took me on, they said, "We know we're taking a risk with you because you're a successful actor and teacher, and you could do what you're doing." It was for rehab counseling. That's what the degree was, rehab counseling. Because they said I could do what I'm doing without the degree.
Mm.
Because as a rehab counselor, what you do is what I do as an acting teacher is really in some ways helping people become better human beings.
Right.
To see a different point of view. So I ended up stopping. And I would say that the truth about being an actor is that I'm very lucky for me that I have always had teaching, because I've never resented having to teach because I love it so much.
Mm.
I have made a good living, sometimes better than others, as a teacher. But that was a time that I really felt I seriously was thinking I'm going to stop, but it was because my heart was broken.
I see.
And other than that, the last, so we've been married for 16 years. When I stopped acting, when I met, a little bit before I met Frank, there was a freedom in just being a teacher. I cut my hair short. I let Frank Collison is my husband. He's the one who said, "My wife, she RUNNOFT in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" He was the actor, and I didn't have to worry about being the actor, and I was the teacher. And there was a freedom in that until I realized I was not expressing myself fully. And so now I feel, he's ready to travel and do lots of things. I'm like, no, I need to work.
I love that.
I'll travel some, but I need to be a working actor. I want to work as much as I can right now. And then if I get a job that helps me travel, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I need to act. It's in my soul.
I love that. That's beautiful. What advice would you give to someone that's listening that wants to either enter the industry, to act, or whatever field, but to just do what you're doing?
I think you need to really consider why you're acting. If you're trying to act because you want fame and fortune, or you think it's going to support you brilliantly, that you may need to rethink that. If it's because you you feel that there's a part of you that needs to self-express, that you have a story to tell, that you feel that you want to change people, help people through self-expression, that you empathize with people, that you really need to write about why, really look into yourself. Why? Be curious about that. Why do you want to act? Why do you want to do it? And you also need to find something that will support you, when you're not acting, without resentment. So if it's a second career that is either connected to the business, whether it's editing or general managing, but something that you don't hate going to, because so much of the time is spent not acting. And so I know there are some people who are going to say, don't get anything you like, because then you may get stuck. But I think it's important to find work that you can love doing. And I mean, when I was in New York, I did proofreading, I did waitressing and waiting, and ushering and coat checking. I mean, I did a lot of jobs, but I did them in places I enjoyed, so I didn't loathe and hate what I did. So I've been very lucky. So surround yourself with people. Get training, serious training, not just audition training, which is what people do. I'm going to get some audition training, then I'm just going to follow the stars on Instagram. You need to get into a school, a reputable school, and really just don't just spend all your time sitting in places like Clubhouse, or following all the people on Instagram. Find out where you can take a serious acting class.
I love that. Yeah, no, that's great advice. Thank you for sharing that. Where can people find you on social media? And are you working on anything now that we can look out for? Like what's coming up? What's down the
It's lauragardner.org. I'm an org because .com somebody stole, and my webmaster just did it, lauragardner.org, and it's at the real Laura Gardner on Instagram. I post a lot of things about my dog and sunsets because I think we need that right now, and I put up stuff that I do. So right now, if you go to my website, lauragardner.org, you'll see all the latest things I've been doing. And I have a film that I don't know when it's going to come out, the one where I play the detective with Merrick, Cold Monsters, that'll be out at some point. And we're reshooting Dishwasher, so that'll be out in September probably. But a lot of my latest stuff is on the website, and I'm teaching on Tuesdays, and I do private coaching. So those are the options at the moment.
Nice, nice, fantastic. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and just your journey with us. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I think you're fantastic, Miosha, and I love your style. I love the
Oh,
purple.
thank you. I try. I tried. I was like, I'm gonna dress up for you today.
Oh, it's gorgeous. No, it's not. You always look gorgeous.
I'll always remember to live, love, laugh. Bye, guys.